I, for one, I always tell myself that if I don't have the money to be able to buy something, then I don't need it. If I feel like I want something but I don't have the money and it's going to entail me to swipe my credit card, I always tell myself this purchase is not worth it. I always tell myself that if something is not adding any financial value to me and I'm thinking of swiping my credit card, then that purchase does not exist. Then that purchase is not worth it. I will not lose sleep, sweat, and tears over paying credit card for something that is not adding any financial money or figure to my bank account. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys 20 ways in which I think nurses can live below their means in order to attain financial freedom. In no particular order, I'm going to start with creating a budget. Most of us do not know what it means to create a budget. A budget is you sitting down and telling your money what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Take, for example, a new month rolls around and you receive a $5,000 check for the month. It is up to you to create a budget by sitting down and writing down all your expenses, every bill you pay, and making sure that you know what is left over and knowing what to save so that you can easily attain your financial freedom. There is no way you are going to know where your money is going to and how your money is being put into use if you don't create a budget. A budget is a realistic way of knowing every detail about your hard-earned money, where it goes, what it's doing, what it's bringing, and how you can better use it to prepare and propel yourself to financial freedom. In the area of creating a budget, this is where you have to sit down either with yourself or with your partner and understand your income coming in and your expense going out. In that way, you'll be able to have an idea of where to cut back on expenses or where to cut back on things that do not make sense in pulling out all of your money. If, for example, you make a budget and you realize that you are spending frivolously on shopping, it is at this time when you're creating this budget that you are going to be able to sit down and be like, it's going to be up to you to make conscious, wise decisions to say, hey, I think I am wasting money in this area when I could allocate the money into my savings goal or into my retirement benefit bucket. And so there is so much importance I cannot even emphasize in this video on the importance of creating a budget. So many nurses are very, very clueless about an emergency fund. Come closer, nurses. Let me explain to you what an emergency fund is. An emergency fund is that fund that you have set aside ahead of time in case of an unplanned circumstances befalling you. Take, for example, you become sick and you're supposed to get an emergency surgery, or take, for example, you lose your job. Where would you be falling back to when it comes to the finances to be able to provide for yourself, provide for your family, paying your bills? This is the time where you have to fall back on your emergency fund. I know the question is going to come up. How much does it entail to form an emergency fund? An emergency fund is generally agreed to be 3 to 6 months of your monthly budget. Now, that is going to take us to the very first point of creating a budget. If you don't even know what your monthly budget is, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to have an idea or a clear, concrete brick and mortar figure when it comes to your emergency fund. It has been generally agreed that an emergency fund should entail 3 to 6 months of your monthly budget. Some people might extend it or stretch it to a year, but it is kind of agreed to stay within 3 to 6 months. Take, for example, that you're driving around in your car and you have a flat tire. Take, for example, the engine of your car knocks or you have to visit the mechanic emergently, something you never prepared for. Where are you going to get the money or the funds to be able to take care of your car, which of course I know might be your daily source of transportation from home to work and running your errands? In that situation, your emergency fund is going to be life-saving in saving you even when it comes to paying your bills, even when it comes to feeding, clothing, shelter, and so many other essential bills that you have to take care for the month. The next tip on my list is going to be avoiding lifestyle inflation. Look, I know that with our job as nurses, it comes with an increase in our income, but you have to resist lifestyle inflation. Don't look at what you think you could have had just because you feel that your income has now bulked up. It is at this point where you have to make wise decisions to save more and spend maybe less or the same as you've been spending whilst your budget or your income wasn't what it is today. So please avoid lifestyle inflation, comparing yourself with other nurses, seeing what they have, the gadgets, the electronics, maybe the scrubs, the cups, or whatever thing they have, backpacks. Please do not feel tempted, do not feel pushed that you have to measure up to them in order to live the sort of life that you feel or think that, hey, this is what all nurses are doing, or this is how nurses are expected to live. And so you push yourself to spend or increase your expense amount just to satisfy your present need. The next thing on my list is going to be limit your amount of dining out. Have you looked at the cost of food now in restaurants? Have you looked at how your income is increasing as per the cost of living out there? There is no way you are going to be saving money by dining out. I do understand that nursing can be very demanding. I do understand that we all have a very busy life. Maybe we have kids, we have errands that we are running. But if there is one way I can tell you that you can cut down on your expenses is to limit the number of times you dine out. If coming back from work makes you very tired, if coming back from work and having to take care of the kids, do laundry, take care of your partner at home is very tasking, demanding on your body, and you don't have the energy or strength to cook, I can tell you that one way out for you to solve this problem is to batch cook or to bulk cook. Take a day when you are not working and cook in a big batch, and then separate them into little pans or pots and freeze them. Or you can go ahead and pre-cook your meals. You can go ahead and fix your meats, your fish, your vegetables. In that way, it's going to shorten the length of time you're going to spend in the kitchen. In that way, it's going to save some more energy at that moment when you want to cook food for the family, or if you want to batch cook. And so try to always make sure that you're cutting down on dining out, because I can tell you it's going to save a lot of money if attaining financial freedom is. The next thing on my list is going to be please pack your lunches. There is so much money we nurses are wasting by buying pre-cooked food, by buying food from, restaurants, by buying fast food, whereas you could have been saving a lot of money by just cooking all these simple meals at home. Have you gone to the store and seen the cost of groceries? Can you compare the cost of those groceries to the food that is being sold in the restaurants? There is a vast difference in terms of the financial or monetary value, which if you could have bought those things from the groceries and cooked this food at home, you would find out that you'll be saving a lot of money. And by so doing, when you cook your food at home, it saves you even more money when you pack your own lunch food as opposed to buying fast food on your way. The next thing on the list is going to be cut down on unnecessary subscription. There is so many things that can be so tempting for us nurses to feel like we just have to click on the subscribe button and that is it. Sometimes these subscriptions might be free or there might be a trial period, but I can tell you that even when you sign up for those trial periods, you might forget, and then when the trial period is ended, you are going to be hit with a bill which maybe you might not be financially ready for it, because I have fallen victim to that. Take for example, I can't remember what subscription it was that I signed up for the trial season. When the trial season was over, I didn't even know that the trial season was over. They went ahead and deducted a year's worth of payment just for that subscription. I can't remember if I was ready for that payment, but the money was cut off from my account. And so if you are one of those people who maybe was not financially prepared for such a hefty deduction from your account, you are going to see yourself pushing your bank account or statement into the negative numbers, which is already something you don't want to fall victim of. And so I'm going to emphasize that please cut down on subscriptions, the ones you don't need and the ones that you think that you need but are not even necessary. Go have a talk with yourself. Go assess yourself, look through every subscription that you are part of and ask yourself, how often do I use this? When I use this, how valuable is it? What is the cost of this subscription? Do I think that I can be able to afford this subscription? Do I think that it can be able to fit into my monthly budget? Do I think that the amount I am spending on the subscription is some amount that I can instead save it for future plans and purposes? If that is the case, please go ahead and cut down on all the subscriptions, and I can tell you, you will be very surprised at how much you will be saving from some subscriptions that you are not even aware of. And even those that you are using and you think that are very, very useful for you, go and have a self-talk with you, your wallet and your bank statement, and see if it even makes sense to keep that subscription going. The next thing on the list is going to be for you to shop smartly. Please make sure you're using coupons. Make sure that you're buying during sales period. Make sure that you are bargaining for prices, and also make sure that you're buying generic products. I can tell you that there is so many things that you can get from Shein. There is so many things you can get from Walmart, but so many nurses feel that these are stores or these are brands that may have a low value, and so they tend to go for like branded or celebrity brands like Nike or maybe all these big stores, just because they want to ascertain themselves to certain products. I can tell you that there's going to be a lot of money that you will be saving, a lot of money that you're throwing into the garbage bin just because you want to affiliate yourself to certain stores and certain brands, whereas there is no difference from these items that are being sold from Walmart or Shein, that are being sold from these prestigious stores, just because you want to be affiliated to some good of ostentation. The next thing might not pertain to everybody, but if you want to save a lot of coin, you can go ahead and buy used items, or you can go ahead and buy discounted items. I can tell you that there are some used items you're going to buy which are still of very good quality. I can tell you that there are some discounted items out there that you would buy that still have their quality, shape and everything still intact. And so if you are one of those nurses who is thinking of saving coins, I'm going to urge you to go ahead and buy used items or discounted items. The next thing I want to advise is to limit the amount of impulse buying. One very big thing I do with impulse buying, especially online, is for me to leave my items in the cart for at least 24 hours. Sometimes when I am scrolling idly on Amazon, I'm going to go ahead and put certain things in my cart, and if after 3 days, if after 5 days, or if after a week I have not yet consciously gone ahead and purchased those things, I'm going to go ahead and take them out of my cart. And in this way, this saves me a lot of money that I could have spent on something which maybe in the long run I would have found out that I didn't even need these items in the first place. And so please make sure that you are cajoling, make sure that you are taming your impulse purchases, especially when you are on the aisle in the stores physically. The aisles where they keep things to the left, to the right. Those are tactics for people to fall, especially in those people who do not know how to tame their impulse buying. Please curtail, please tame your instinct to buy things which were not premeditated before you got into the store. The next thing on the list is going to be for you to please reduce your utility costs. This can be a little bit controversial because some people will say that you cannot minimize your own safety just because you want to cut down on costs. Sometimes you would want to buy some objects that might be using up a lot of electricity, but there is an alternative to that same object that might be using lesser electricity. Sometimes you also want to be mindful of how many times you do laundry in a week, in a month. Sometimes you want to be mindful how you turn off and turn on the AC or the heater. Sometimes you want to be mindful how you go ahead and use certain electrical appliances in the house. If, for example, you have a phone bill for which you are not using all the internet monthly data on it, it's up to you to think of ways to cut down that internet data which you are not using in the first place. There are cheaper options out there to having phone bills for $50. There are cheaper options out there to having phone bills for $30. But this again is going to depend on how much usage you have for your internet. And so sit down and think of those ways in which you can cut down your bills, your costs at home, especially when it comes to the usage of things in the house. Make sure you're being very mindful of how you turn on the water. Make sure you're being mindful of how you turn on the heater. Make sure you're being mindful of how often you do laundry. Make sure you're being mindful of how you use things in your home as the next thing on my list is going to be using public transportation. Look, I come from a town where using public transportation can be a challenge. In Houston, it is very, very difficult. I don't want to say very, very difficult. In Houston, it is difficult to take yourself from point A to B, especially if you want to go visit family, if you don't have your own personal car. Let me explain. You might have a family member who lives in an area where the transport or the metro bus doesn't get there. And so it's kind of difficult for you not to have your own personal car. But if you are in an area where the public transport can go there, please make sure that you're making use of the public transport whenever you can. Even if you have a private car, you can always use the public transport when you know that the public transport goes to your final destination. But for those who are planning on getting a car and want to save up for future purchases, I'm going to tell you to just go ahead and use public transport in terms of delaying your gratification in getting that car, so that when the time is right, you'll be able to afford for your car and also afford for the car that you want. If for any reason you don't have a car and you really want to go from point A to point B, another way of transporting yourself could be carpooling. Another way you can transport yourself is by biking. Another way you can transport yourself is by asking friends for rides. I know when I used to go to school, I had classmates who used to carpool coming to school, because I went to a nursing school that was in the downtown area in the medical center in Houston, and in that area the parking is very expensive. And so if you don't want to go ahead and pay that additional expenditure in paying for parking, you can just go ahead and carpool, or you could just do park and drive and then use the metro train to get to school. And so these are going to be alternatives to getting a car in terms of carpooling or biking to where you have to go. Next thing on my list is going to be avoiding credit card debts. Look, let me tell you something. I know we live in a society where we are being taught to thrive and to make use of credit card just because we have to build our credit in order to be able to buy things like houses, cars. But I'm going to tell you that if you can limit your purchases with a credit card, please make sure you are doing. There is no reason why you want to buy a luxury bag, a luxury purse, a luxury shoe, or maybe some clothing, and you want to swipe your credit card. That doesn't even make sense in my own head. I, for one, I always tell myself that if I don't have the money to be able to buy something, then I don't need it. If I feel like I want something but I don't have the money and it's going to entail me to swipe my credit card, I always tell myself this purchase is not worth it. So please, nurses, try to stay away from credit cards, because the interest rate these days is not, first of all, something to even talk about, not to even mention how much you're going to be paying monthly on your credit card on something you purchase which might not even be adding any value to you. I always tell myself that if something is not adding any financial value to me and I'm thinking of swiping my credit card, then that purchase does not exist. Then that purchase is not worth it. I will not lose sleep, sweat and tears over paying credit card for something that is not adding any financial money or figure to my bank account. And so I try as much as I can to stay away from swiping my credit card. The next thing on my list is going to be for us to shop insurances. I know that there are some insurances out there that already have built some sort of prestige, and so many people will just tend to go for them at a go without even thinking of shopping around for alternatives or seeing if there are cheaper options to this insurance. Take for example, I remember very clearly that I made this mistake when I was looking for my very first insurance. I just went for what I was being advised, and when I discovered that there were so many other options options that were way cheaper and affordable than the insurance that I had to do my due diligence of shopping around before settling for my next insurance when I got my next or my second car. And so this is me telling you that you don't always have to go for what you are being advised or being, told to go for. Make sure you are shopping around when it comes to your car insurance, when it comes to your home insurance, when it comes to your health insurance. You can always shop around, and guess what? You can always remember to bargain for the insurance or the quote that is being given to you, in terms of telling them that, hey, if you don't want to reduce this, I already know another alternative that I can go to that is going to be saving me some bucks, that is going to be way cheaper than what you're offering me. And I will tell you that sometimes I have used that trick and it has worked, and I don't see why, or I don't know why others are not using this trick in order to save them some coins in their bank accounts. So make sure you are shopping around for insurance before you settle on the final one that you want to use. My next advice is going to be in investing in continuing education. We live in an era, in a generation now, that education is becoming free, in the sense that there is so much vital information on the internet, and I still see some people going ahead to pay thousands to go to a formal education in terms of school, or to a tutor, or to somebody to teach them, whereas they can get that information free from the internet. I do understand that not everything on the internet can be legit or very verified, but there is so much free valuable information that you can get from online, which will prove very useful to you. There are so many free courses online. There are so many free online classes that you can get online from reputable universities that are all available to you at no cost. Nowadays, everyone has a phone. Nowadays, everyone has access to the internet. And so instead of you using your internet to scroll on TikTok, to scroll on Instagram, why not use that time to go learn some free online classes that are going to teach you on how to manage your finances, that are going to teach you on how to, use your money, invest your money, and make better use of your money in order to attain financial freedom much more earlier than you anticipate. The next thing on my list is going to be DIY projects. Look, I love DIY projects because I'm one of those persons that I think, or I like to tell myself, that I have a very creative mind. And so if there is something that I feel like it looks within my range without using a lot of manpower and a lot of electrical gadgets, I love to always do them by myself. And I know that there's a lot that you're going to be saving from doing DIY projects. I used to have a previous YouTube video where I used to make a lot of DIY projects, and it will shock you or surprise you to know that most of the DIY project equipment or items, I got them from Dollar Tree. Sometimes I'm going to make like very beautiful flower vases for like just $5 in total, whereas these are vases that are being sold on Etsy for $20, for $25. And so I am telling you that if you want to save a lot of money, nurses, there are so many DIY projects that I know that you can do by yourself on your free time at home to save you a lot of coins for your future benefit. My next tip is going to be plan your purchases. Look, there is no need for you to just think that you want to purchase something and you want to be doing monthly payments on it. If, for example, you have planned to buy a car, if, for example, you have planned to buy that purse that you have been so dying for, make sure that you're planning for that purchase in the sense of saving that amount. For example, a Louis Vuitton bag might cost $3,000 and you don't have that $3,000 handy at this moment. The wisest and the best way for you to be able to buy that purse is for you to save up $3,000 so that you can go and pay upfront in total for that purse, as opposed to using a credit card or swiping your credit card and paying some monthly interest or monthly payment, which at the end of the game you would find that if you do your maths very correctly, you're going to be paying way more than $3,000 just for that purse. I, for one, I always plan ahead for my purchases. I know that there are some purchases that we cannot plan for them, in terms of maybe a car, in terms of maybe a house. These two purchases are going to be very big purchases that not so many people would have the money to be able to pay everything up front. But for small amounts of things that we can all save up for, please make sure that you're planning for those purchases by saving up the money up front and paying everything fully in cash. My next advice is going to be limit your luxury spending. There is no added value that a Louis Vuitton purse is adding to your life. There is no added value that a Gucci is adding to your life as a nurse. I do understand that when you have attained a certain level of social status, some of these branded items can add some value in terms of the sort of people that you associate with. But when attaining financial freedom is your priority in life, all luxury products or purchases are not necessary. All the luxury branded items, maybe purses, shoes, clothes, maybe electronics and gadgets, some of these things do not add any value to us as nurses, but we still go ahead and purchase these things because we want to be seen within the ranks of people who have or who can easily afford these things. Please avoid purchasing luxury products if you know that it will have to make you to pick up extra shifts, or it's going to stress yourself additionally in order to have those items. My next advice is going to be automate your savings. I know that I am guilty of this. I typically will consciously do my savings in terms of when I get my paycheck, I then allocate this goes to my savings account. When I get the other paycheck, this one goes to paying these other bills. But it's going to save you a lot of time and some emotional thought process in bringing yourself to make these savings. If you just go ahead and automate your savings, it's going to be very easy for you not to even consciously think about putting aside money to help you in the long run, because at the end of the year, or maybe at the end of a certain period, you will look at your savings account and you'll be like, how did I even get here? If you consciously plan for your savings, you are going to find out that within a certain period you would have amassed or saved an amount of money which, if you were not automating your savings, you would never be able to do it. I will tell you that financial independence will only come when you are conscious about your money. If you just sit and you expect that your money is going to do certain things or grow up without consciously making a budget, without consciously understanding your income and expenses, I am telling you that you are just deceiving yourself. If you want to attain financial freedom, you have to put in place some certain procedures for your money in order to quickly attain those goals. My 20th and last thing on the list is going to be staying informed. Look, like I have already mentioned, there is a lot of information that you can get from the internet. Like I earlier said, I know that some of this information might need some validating, but it's up to you to be able to go online and search for information, then go back and do your research, go back and do your validation and see if this information makes sense or if the information is valid. There is so much information that is so vital to our financial freedom and health on the internet that many of us are not paying attention to, that many of us are not making use of. And so staying informed is very big. Read books, buy courses. The biggest investment you can make on yourself is to educate yourself, is to learn more, and is to buy those courses that are going to elevate you to a next level. On this note, I want to thank you all for staying right up to the end of this video. I do hope that even if you might not see all 20 points as valid for your own financial freedom route, I know that there's going to be more than 10 points that will resonate to you that you can start today to attain your financial freedom. If you're new to this channel, hi, hello, and welcome. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, and share this video to all your friends and nurses and co-workers out there, your neighbors, your cousins, and all your family members, so that we can all educate ourselves and attain that financial freedom much more earlier than we expected. Thank you all, and I hope that you're going to stay blessed. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.